With the 2024 election less than 6 months away, President Biden is traveling to the West Coast tonight to drum up some support. The president is scheduled to participate in 2 campaign receptions in the San Francisco Bay Area tomorrow, and afterwards he's expected to fly to Seattle to host more fundraising events there over the weekend. Let's bring in Kevin Munoz. He's the national spokesperson for the Biden campaign. Kevin, good to see you. Thanks for being here. So we were talking about the president's fundraisers out west, but I want to talk about where he went yesterday, which was Wisconsin, key battleground state, of course. And our CBS News polling shows that it is a pretty dead-even race there. Biden just a point behind Trump, but that is mostly fueled by the economy and voters saying that they recall the economy being better under, or being good, I should say, under President Trump. So that's their recollection of it. How concerning is that dynamic for the campaign? And can the campaign actually change the way that people feel?
Well, thanks for having me, Caitlin. I think, look, this campaign is going to come down to a simple question. Who is fighting for the American people? Who is fighting on the issues that when you come home from work and you're at that kitchen table and you're thinking about bills, you're thinking about lower costs, you're thinking about the future of this country, who is fighting on those issues and who is fighting to take us forward? And that's Joe Biden. We also know that campaigns are won by putting in the work, talking to voters, and that's what Joe Biden did yesterday. He went not just to Wisconsin, but to where Foxconn, where Donald Trump famously said was going to be the 8th wonder of the world, bringing so many jobs to Wisconsin. He failed. He lied. And Joe Biden brought in more than $3 billion of investment into this community. So we got to get out there. We got to talk to these voters, especially while Donald Trump refuses to do the work to earn these voters.
I do want to ask about Donald Trump because actually, obviously he's been back in court today. That's been taking up a lot of his time. But with this case going on, he's also, still dominating the airwaves every day. And he's able to come out and make statements, even though he's, tied to the courtroom, essentially. And I'm curious if the Biden campaign is concerned about that, the idea that Trump is kind of all over the airwaves, and whether that may serve to benefit the former president.
Well, look, I think when the average American person goes home at night and is looking at the news, they don't really care about what's happening with Joe Biden or with Donald Trump in the courtroom. They care about the simple questions of who is fighting for their rights, who is fighting for better jobs, and who is fighting to lower costs. We also know that the American people are busy. They are getting their news from so many different places, and we have to talk to them, not just on the news, but through TikTok, through Snapchat, through all of the ways that the American people are getting their news. And that's exactly what this campaign is doing, especially with new investments this month, $14 million into paid media, more efforts on the ground to use small businesses as centers of organizing, and really taking this message locally to the communities that decide this election.
So do you think that voters are not paying attention to the Trump trials?
Look, I think at the end of the day, it's really important that we continue to focus on the issues that matter to the American people when they go home, when they go to sleep at night. And here is the reality. We need to do more to lower healthcare costs. Donald Trump wants to increase healthcare costs. We need to create more jobs at home. Donald Trump wants to take those jobs and send them to China. We want to make sure women can make their own healthcare decisions. Donald Trump doesn't believe in that. He refuses to let women make their own healthcare decisions. So we have to stay focused on those issues.
And Kevin, I want to ask you about kind of coalition building. Earlier this week in Indiana, there was a primary. The primaries are still going on. And Nikki Haley got a not insignificant amount of votes. I know President Biden has said that there is room in his campaign for her supporters, but what is he doing specifically to reach out to those voters? And are they gettable for Democrats?
Well, look, there's not just room for them in our campaign. We're actually doing the work to talk to them every single day. After she dropped out of the race, we started investing millions of dollars into targeting those voters in the battleground states to talk to them about the fact that they have a home in our campaign. We are fighting for democracy. We are fighting for our Constitution. We are fighting for common decency in this country. While Donald Trump doesn't just say they don't have a home, he's attacking them. He continues to attack Governor Haley. Look, we know these voters. We have to show up. We have to earn their vote. We have a different set of issues that might matter to them, but they absolutely, if they care about the future of this country, have a place, and we are talking to them.
All right, we will see where they migrate by Election Day. Kevin Munoz with the Biden campaign, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Kayla.